All right, we are now joined by Andrew Cogliano. If you have a question, please use the raise your hand function. We can get started. First question is from Mike Hyka. Mike?
Hey, Andrew. How do you look at the season overall? I mean, obviously it was very challenging with the COVID and the condensed schedule, but how do you look at what you did individually and then what the team did?
Yeah, I think overall, it just felt like a very long season in terms of, the breaks we had with the COVID and obviously with the storm midway through. It just felt like we were playing for a long time, and obviously it was a challenging season. But I think we once again, like we did the year before, we proved what we could do as a team in terms of how strong mentally we were and how we compete and how we're prepared, and and really we continue to push even though things weren't perfect, and there were challenges. So I think that's something to be proud of for everyone and for our whole team. Individually, I thought I was really proud of my game, to be honest. I thought I played very hard all season long. I thought I was very consistent in terms of how I prepared and how I approached the game, and what I brought on a nightly basis. And I'm pretty good at knowing my own game and knowing myself individually, and knowing what I could bring to the team. And I was very proud with how I approached every game and how I brought it and how I competed and how I played. And I think that's my personal opinion.
Our next question is from Matt DeFranks. Matt?
Hey, Andrew, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm not sure if you've ever entered a summer as a UFA. So how do you approach that this summer?
Yeah, I think, very fortunate. I think that's very fortunate throughout your career, and, never having to be a UFA and having teams or the team you're on sign you. So that's very, very fortunate for myself, as I've played quite a while in the league. With this offseason, you approach it for what it is. I've played quite a while in this league, and I've been able to accomplish things which I'm very proud of, and I've worked very hard to put myself in this position. And I'm very fortunate to play in Dallas the last couple of years, the last 2.5, 3 years. This is a special place to play, and like I said, I was very fortunate that I was traded here and given the opportunity to play on a very good team with great people and in a great organization. So I don't take anything for granted. I've always been very humble in terms of how long I've been able to stay in this league and play. I think it's an honor to be in the NHL every single day. So I will be looking forward to the off season. I'll get in great shape, which I enjoy doing, and I felt good this year with this season was a challenge physically and mentally, and I was really proud of how my body felt, and I was proud of how I handled it mentally every single day and with how I prepare. So I'll be ready to go, and at the end of the day, we'll see what happens. That's kind of an unknown, and it's out of control.
Our next question is from Owen Newkirk. Owen?
Hey, Andrew, you just talked about the physical and mental challenges. Wondering if you could elaborate on that coming out of the power outage break in mid-February. You guys ended up playing, I think it was 11 straight weeks of 4 games in 6 days, or variations of that the last couple of weeks. That's an incredible grind, and I imagine that really took a toll on everybody.
Yeah, I think, the storm was, it was a tough time for not only our team, but, everyone in the city and everyone in Texas. So that wasn't a break. We were, my family, I have 2 young children. We were at Jamie Benn's house living upstairs, and everyone was scattered around our team. And so that wasn't, these breaks that you see that teams were getting 4 or 5 days during the season where you could stay at home and relax and have a routine. We were on the move doing things like that. And basically like everyone else, trying to survive and trying to live as human beings. So, I think, physically, you're playing every other day. So you're just going to be sore. There's going to be times where physically, let's be honest, like you're just going to be tired. You're going to have to push through it. And that's when the mental side of things come in. The biggest thing is when you have 2 days in between games, usually that first day, you can kind of just let go and not think about hockey and, just try as much to be away from the game as you can. And then you get your next day of practice and then you play. With this schedule, there wasn't turning off, for myself individually, how I approach the game and how I prepare every single day was another preparation day. So the day in between, you're thinking about the next game. And then the day after that, you're thinking about the next game and doing what you need to be prepared. So that mentally could, that adds up after a while. But like I said, I think that speaks to the volumes of our team of we didn't quit. We continue to push through. The coaches continue to push us in the right direction. And as players, we hung in there and continue to battle and push for that playoff spot. So I think, like I said, it goes back to speaking to the people we have in the room and the organization and the guys. And I think, we didn't make playoffs and all disappointed. That was our goal and that's where we should be. But should be proud of how we approach the game and how we continue to fight.
Next, excuse me. Next, we'll go back to Mike Hyka. Mike?
Do the players talk about the analytics at all? You guys are a team that creates a lot of chances per the analytics, but then also has a low shooting percentage or finish percentage. Do you talk about that among the players?
What, Mike, not really. I feel like there's so much that we that go into the game where a lot of guys, including myself, sometimes you don't understand a ton about it. So, to kind of think about that, I think you're maybe probably thinking about things you should be thinking about, which is the game and the system and getting yourself ready to play. So, I've seen some of that and I've heard some of that, and I think that's adds a little bit to the frustration where it shows we are carrying the play. We are doing a lot of great things on the ice, and in a lot of games we're outplaying teams and we're not getting the results, and it ends up being a results league. It ends up being when you get the chance, you have to score, and you see the teams that are in the playoffs, they've done that. So all that kind of gets put by the wayside when you don't make the playoffs. But we felt that during games. There was games where you could feel yourself just in the ozone the whole time and creating and making things happen and carrying the play, and the puck doesn't go in. I think that adds to the overall frustration of the entire season for sure.
Next, we'll go to Matt DeFranks. Matt?
As you look at this summer, what kind of team are you looking to join, and are you interested in being back in Dallas?
Yeah, of course. We'll have those conversations, and there's so much going on with the team, and there's so much going on in terms of everyone kind of getting situated and figuring things out that of course, this is a phenomenal place to play. As I said, I can't. I didn't know a ton about Dallas when I was in Anaheim, but this place has been very special in terms of playing and living, and it's one of those teams that's going to be very successful for a long time. In terms of myself, I don't know what the future brings, and all I know is I'll be ready, and I'm very motivated, like I always am. And like I said, I really liked how I competed all season. I liked my consistency, and I'm proud of that. And I'm my biggest critic. Trust me, there's no one that criticizes my game more than I do, and I know when I play well, and I know when I don't play well. And I was very happy with how I approached the season, how I played, and that adds to my determination, like I always have going into an off season, and we'll see where that goes. But I don't take anything for granted. As I said, I'm very fortunate I was able to come here and play for a great team and in a great organization and a great coaching staff. And we'll see where that goes, and we'll see what the future brings, and you kind of leave it to that.
Next, we'll go to Saad Youssef. Saad?
Hey, Andrew. You talked about the challenges of this season. I'm curious, you had a newborn and then a child under a 2-year-old. How did you kind of balance the family life with the professional life this year?
Yeah, you know what? I think my wife, Allie, deserves a ton of credit. She did an amazing job in terms of handling the family and really just letting me play hockey and focusing on the game and focusing on being prepared. And you talk about people behind the scenes, and I think a lot of people don't understand, how much goes into playing in the NHL and being ready every night. And we have lives outside of the game. We do. We have families, and that's my priority is my children and being a good family person. But my wife deserves just a ton of credit. The long road trips with just 2 kids at home, and you got to balance it. It's tough. I think it was hard because you weren't getting any time in between games, and you really weren't home that much. And so I think you managed like everyone else did in our team, but I think that goes league wide. I think everyone was in the same boat. Any guys I talked to on other teams, they experienced the same thing. And this is a league wide. It was a hard season in general, and I think just everyone's excited to get back to what we're used to.
Next, we'll go back to Mike Hyka. Mike?
Hey, Andrew, I'll act as your agent for a little bit. You're 33, you've got over 1,000 games, but it also seems like you fit where the NHL is going. You're a fast player. I think you're tuned into two-way hockey, and it does seem like that's where the league is going. Do you feel like you've got a long time left in the league?
You know what, Mike? I've always been a guy that goes year to year, and I've always been a guy to always try to just get better every summer. And you know what? Maybe that's why I've played 1,000 games. Is I've never taken the foot off the pedal in terms of trying to grow and trying to be a better player and trying to find things that I'm not good at and hopefully get better at. But my legs felt really good this year. To be honest, I'm just telling you how it is. I feel like my skating is really strong, and it's a skating league, and I take pride in playing both ends of the rink. And our line played against top players still this season, and I took pride in that defensive game. And I try my absolute hardest to bring as much offense as I can. And I felt like I was much better in terms of just playing more in the ozone this season and possessing the puck and pushing for more in terms of that side of the puck. But I don't know what the future holds, and you just don't know in this league. You don't know what anyone's thinking in terms of how you fit in any situation. So you just worry about yourself. But I take a lot of pride in terms of my fitness and being ready to play and being prepared, and I will do that again. And that's exactly what I'm looking forward to this summer, and we'll go from there.
We'll take 2 more questions for Andrew. The first is from Owen Newkirk. Owen?
Cogs, you talked a lot about the physical, the mental aspect of how this condensed schedule has been and how you felt based on it. But it seems to me that the lack of having a regular practice at full speed, I'm not looking for excuses because we all know you guys faced a lot, but you can't go 2.5 months or something without a real practice and not having some sort of effect of the team's just inability to have that day to be sharp, let alone what you talked about earlier, the mental reset of focusing on practice and not a game.
Yeah, I think practice sometimes goes unnoticed in terms of your play with the puck, your details of the game that you do, you practice and drills that that are implemented from the coaching staff to help during a game. So when you don't get that, I think there's at times where your game could slip a little bit, and we had that kind of happen sometime during the season, but our coaching staff did a great job with video, and Bones did a great job with video, and really they pushed us in the right direction. I think that's why we with everything we had going on, the injuries, the breaks, the amount of games, I think that's why we were there to the bitter end. Is the coaches found a way to make it work without practice. But I'm a guy that likes practice. I'm a guy that likes being on the ice, and even though some guys might not see the benefit of it sometimes, I think it adds to your overall game as the season goes on. But I think the coaches deserve a ton of credit with how we were able to fight to the end, because in their perspective, you're seeing this. You're never not at the rink, and you're not practicing as much. So a lot of the stuff you have to show is in video and through talking to guys and coaching them. So I think they deserve a ton of credit with the little practice time we had to make us, we were pretty consistent all season, and that's honestly my opinion on that.
All right, and our last question comes from Blake. Blake?
Hey, Andrew. I just was wondering if you could talk a little about your personal opinion on who's a better looking line mate, myself or Faxa.
You know what? If you had your old hair back, I would go with you, because Faxa, when he's walking around, he's not pretty. I'll tell you that for free.
All right, we're now joined by Blake Comeau. If you have a question for Blake, please use the raise your hand function and we'll get started. Our first question is from Mike Hyka. Mike?
Blake, have you thought about growing your hair back out? Andrew said something about it the last Zoom session.
Yeah, I should
no.
grow it out. It would be more of a skullet, but I don't know. Maybe those are making a comeback, so we'll see.
Put that with the party in the back.
Yeah,
It looks
exactly.
great. How did you look at this season? I know it was frustrating and difficult, obviously, with the COVID. What do you look at the strong points and then the things you need to be better at as a team?
I mean, I feel like I look at it two ways. Obviously, I've played on teams before where you miss playoffs and you're disappointed, and we all are disappointed here. But that being said, I felt like I'm proud of the group of guys, the way that we battled all season long. I feel like we had a lot of stuff thrown at us with coronavirus at the start of the year. The winter storm shutting us back down, and then just the condensed schedule, the key injuries that we've had, and for us to be able to grind as hard as we did, staying it all the way to the end. We obviously still came up a little bit short, but I was proud the way that we just battled and grinded, and nobody was complaining about anything. It was just, you got up, you went to work. We've basically been playing playoff hockey and playing must-win games for a really long time. So looking back, obviously it was a big toll on guys, but I was proud the way that we responded for most of the year.
Next, we'll go to Owen Newkirk. Owen?
Hey, Blake, the chemistry that you have with Andrew Cogliano is pretty noticeable out there. Obviously played a lot with Radek Faksa the last couple of years, but also occasionally Jason Dickinson will center that line. A couple other guys have been in there. But would you have imagined that you and Cogliano would play so well together when he was acquired by the team, and what kind of a partnership you guys would create on the ice?
Well, I think the role that I had before Cogs got here, playing with Foxy and trying to shut down other teams' top lines, play that checking role. I think Cogs has been doing that his whole career, and I think that's one of the reasons why we're able to click so early on. He's a very detailed player. He takes a lot of pride in playing on the defensive side of the puck, which I do as well. And he prepares really well, and he's just a great teammate. He's fun to be around off the ice. I think he added a great veteran leadership to our locker room, and it was fun to be with him the last few years.
Next, we'll go to Matt DeFranks. Matt?
Blake, you've been through UFA a few times now. Does this summer feel any different, or just given where you're at in your career and in your life, does it feel different at all, or in what ways does it feel different if it does?
It feels a little bit different in the sense of, it just seemed like we were so busy this season, And, I have 3 young girls and they're getting older now, and my 2 older ones are in sports. And I felt like I missed a lot of things this year. They're asking when I'm going to be home and why I have to be gone so long. So going into this summer, I kind of have the mindset of if things fall into place, they fall into place. And if they don't, they don't. I'm just excited to enjoy some of the time this summer with my family, get a little bit of rest here and just kind of re-energize. It was a long season for everybody. And, the guys who have young families and wives and things like that. I think most of those guys' minds are focused on that and not so much the hockey aspect of it right now. So I'd say that's the biggest difference, is just I'm excited to just be able to spend time with my family right now and re-energize. And when the time comes to figure out my future, I'll figure that out.
Next, we'll go to Saad Youssef. Saad?
Hey, Blake, can you kind of take us behind the curtain a little bit on just the physical toll that the schedule took on players and on yourself as well? Just how hard was it to recover on a day-to-day basis from that schedule?
It was tough. I'm not a spring chicken anymore. I'm 35 years old. So to be playing every second day, back-to-backs, travel, there's not a lot of time to recover, to be honest. And I know it was like that for a lot of guys around the league, but for me personally, I think the style that I play and the physical presence that I need to play with, it was a grind and it was tough. I'll be honest. But that being said, I think even if guys were feeling that way throughout the season, no one was complaining about it. No one was coming to the rink, feeling sorry for themselves. We just knew we had to buckle down and put our best foot forward. And if you look back at our season, obviously we didn't make playoffs, but there wasn't too many games where we laid eggs and the whole team didn't show up. It's disappointing we didn't make the playoffs. I think there's a lot of reasons for that. But like I said, when I first started talking here, I'm proud of the way that the guys responded for all the things we had to go through this year, the schedule, the injuries, guys being beat up, guys being tired. I think that we responded really well.
Next, we'll go to Mike Hyka. Mike?
Rick talked a lot about this here, about the inability to finish. You guys, I think, are top 5 in producing high danger scoring chances, but like 29th in shooting percentage. Is there something there, or is it just, you missed Sagan, you missed Radulov, and those are the reasons why the finish was down?
Well, I think to have that foundation of getting those chances is a great start. I think there's a lot of teams that don't know how to generate that. And there's no question missing Rads and Segi, Rupe missing a third of the games, having Kiviranta out. Those are some game breakers that we were missing. And, we had some guys step up and fill those shoes really well with Robo in the season that he had, Cogliano, Gardner, Dowling, Kiro. But at the end of the day, missing those 3 players, I think they're probably all close to point per game players throughout their entire careers. So you look back at the shootouts, Segi and Rads are really good shootout players. They're really good in overtime. They're game breakers. So like I said, I think the foundation of us getting those chances and being able to be where we're at is a good thing. And I think when we have a healthy lineup and you add those guys in, you're going to see a lot more going in.
And our final question is from Owen Newkirk. Owen?
Blake, I just was curious about this upcoming expansion draft. Believe, if I'm not mistaken, you were protected by Colorado for the Vegas expansion draft back in 2017. And obviously you're a pending UFA, so there's a chance that you could be exposed. Is that going to be weird to go through this basically for the first time as a possibly unprotected player?
No, I don't think so. Like I said, I feel like my mindset right now is not on hockey and things like that. There'll be a time come where maybe I have to think about that and make decisions about my future. I'll sit down with my wife and my family and we'll talk about things like that. But, right now, something like that is out of my control. I'm not going to stress over it and worry about things that are in the future and that I don't have control over. So I'm just going to try to enjoy a little downtime, enjoy my family, re-energize. And when the time comes for me to make decisions and think about things like that, then I'll do it.
All right. Thanks, Blake. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
We're now joined by Jamie Oleksiak. If you have a question, please use the raise your hand function. We'll get going. First question comes from Mike Hyka. Mike?
Hey, Jamie, obviously a big summer for you. Have you thought much about it? And how important is that little window between the expansion draft and the start of free agency?
You know, to be honest with you, I think, you know, I made a point during the season to kind of just focus on hockey. And right now, I think with the season just ending so soon, I'm kind of taking some time to, you know, decompress, and we'll probably circle back with my agent in a couple of weeks and touch on, you know, what's going to happen this summer. But honestly, as of right now, I haven't thought too much about it. I'm just, like I said, I'm kind of taking time to get away from the game, and you know, and then I'll reflect later on it. But obviously, yeah, I think it's going to be a crazy summer, especially with the expansion draft and, you know, all these. It's kind of been a unique year in general. So, you know, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of things that, you know, we're going to have to analyze. But yeah.
Next, we'll go to Matt DeFranks. Matt?
Jamie, what does the summer look like for you? Do you sit around in Dallas? Do you go back to Canada for the summer to work out?
Again, I mean, it's a unique year, so I'm kind of playing it by ear right now, because up in Canada, they're kind of in lockdown, right? So I'm not in a big rush to get back there, because I don't even know if I can train in Canada. So as of right now, I'm sticking around in Dallas and just kind of taking it week by week, because, you know, you never know what's going to happen in the near future right now. So sticking around, and we'll see where things are in, you know, a couple of weeks. Hopefully things get better in Canada. Sounds like the vaccines are kind of speeding up a little bit, and maybe then they'll start opening stuff up.
Next question is from Saad Youssef. Saad?
Hey, Jamie, what kind of toll did the schedule take on your body this year?
It was tough. Crazy. I mean, playing 4 games a week for, what was it, 2 months or whatever. It's a lot of hockey. You know, the advantages of it, I guess, is you don't really think too much about it. You don't really have time to dwell on how sore your body is or how fatigued you are. You just kind of have to get up and play, which kind of works in your favor. But over the course of the season, it definitely was pretty grindy towards the end. But, you know, that's part of being a pro, I guess. You gotta take care of the body. You gotta make sure that you do what you can to show up and you know, compete.
Next, we'll go to Owen Newkirk. Owen?
Hey, Jamie, not to beleaguer a point about being frustrated, but have you had a chance to let that go, or is that still, you know, Bones talked about having sort of a sick feeling in your stomach when you guys were finally officially eliminated this past weekend, and knowing how hard you guys worked and the physical toll you just talked about and how close you were, you know, a couple of bounces here or there, aside of the fact of all the guys you had injured this year, is that frustration still quite lingering?
Yeah, I mean, it sucks. I mean, it's still hard to, you know, you see on Instagram teams are going to playoffs and whatnot, and it's tough because you're not there. And how it ended was pretty, you know, anticlimactic too, I guess. You know, it came down to what Nashville was doing, and they got in and we didn't. And it's tough, but I think the only thing that, you know, you can do to try and not make it as bad as it is at face value is just think about the year that we had. And like you said, like the injuries, the scheduling, I mean, it was a crazy year. We had a lot of obstacles, and I think we can kind of be proud of how we overcame all those obstacles and how hard we competed to the end. And I think that kind of, you know, is one positive you can take away from it, is that. But it definitely, it's tough, and it's hard to, you know, watch other people compete and you're kind of on the sideline. So I think we just got to make the most of this break here and make sure that, you know, guys got to come back and be ready to compete next year, you know, make the most of this time off.
Next, we'll go to Mike Hyka. Mike?
Hey, Jamie, we've talked a lot throughout your career about activating and decision making. And I think early on it was very difficult because if you made a mistake, then you got scratched. How important has these last 2 years been as the team has wanted to activate defensemen and you seem to embrace that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of been a big part of the system for us, you know, getting the D involved, and we have, you know, a lot of skilled D that can contribute top to bottom, you know. Obviously you got guys like Klinger and Miro, but you know, Hanley also gets involved, and you know, Sakara, and I think all our D are capable of chipping in offensively, and I think it's a fine line you have to toe. And I think I still learned a lot this year, even towards the end, about not being too eager to jump up and kind of knowing when to and when not to. And it's definitely an art in itself. But yeah, I mean, I think especially the bubble last year during playoffs, I think a big part of success was getting our D involved. And I think this year too, I think, you know, overall as a D corps, we were able to, you know, offensively help our team out, you know.
Our last question for Jamie comes from Matt DeFranks. Matt?
You've obviously played a lot with Miro over the last couple of years. When did you kind of realize that was something that worked and that a pairing that had chemistry?
I mean, you kind of build chemistry over time. I can't really think of a specific point in which, you know, I just think he's just such a gifted player, and I think playing with him, it elevates my game too a little bit. You know, I really like playing with him, and I want to play well for him. So, you know, he's got a bright future in the league, and I think, you know, his kind of coming out party, I guess, was at playoffs last year. That's when you really saw, you know, just what this kid could be, you know, capable of. And yeah, I can't think of a specific time when I knew it would work, but like I said, when I'm on the ice with him, I just want to do what I can to help him out and support him. And like I said, play well for him, because he's just always, you know, every night he's going to show up. He's a competitor. So.
All right. Thank you very much, Jamie. We appreciate you taking the time.
No problem. Thanks, guys. Take care.